Hi, welcome to today's webinar, What is Ruby Receptionist? Before we dive in, riddle me this. Have you ever worried that your phone experience might be letting your customers down, or that you're losing business due to missed calls? Wondered if you ever get more done without adding headcount? If you answered yes or even maybe to any of these questions, you're in the right place. Today's webinar is all about Ruby Receptionist, the virtual reception service that helps address these issues and more. I am your host, Diana Steepleton. I have worn many hats here at Ruby since 2009, and I currently manage and support our partnership program. I have an MBA and expertise in both telecom industry and owning a small business, which really helps me marry the ins and outs of Ruby service with the unique needs of our customer base. Prior to Ruby, I spent 9 years on the equipment side of AT&T Lucent, and I owned a successful market research data collection company, which earned a spot on the Inc. 500 for 3 consecutive years. The webinar will take about 30 minutes all in. If you have questions, please go ahead and type them in the little question field, and I will answer them as time permits at the end. And if I don't have time to answer them for some reason, I will answer them via email later. So we should be all set with questions, and I look forward to answering them. So here's what we're going to cover. We're going to talk about the importance of a great phone experience, the difference Ruby can make for your business or firm, how we work, how Ruby works, kind of the ins and outs of all that, and I'll provide you with a helpful comparison tool at the end. Let's get started with some interesting stats, shall we? Did you know that of all channels, the phone is still the preferred method chosen by customers to interact with a business? This year, mobile search will drive more than 73 billion inbound sales calls, that's billion with a B, to businesses small and large. And it's predicted that a whopping 162 billion calls will be made to businesses next year. With click-to-call functionality, smartphone users can search for, find, and call a business in seconds with just a few screen taps. Studies show smartphone users value not only the convenience of calling, but the human interaction that results. They want that personal connection. You know, it used to be that people did most of their pre-purchasing research from their computers. So they'd sit in front of their computer and look at your website. And as long as your website was all good, they could find the answers they wanted. Now, most people do that type of activity on their mobile phone. And even if your website is perfectly set up to display on their mobile phone, lovely, people much more quickly tire of navigating on a small screen, and they are much more quick to hit the little click to call button to call you. So it's more important than ever to be answering those calls and answering them well. In a 2016 Invoca study, 80% of those surveyed said a good experience is likely to earn their repeat business. And on the flip side, 74% said they're likely to choose another business after a bad phone experience. Just imagine about 2/3 of your callers moving on to your competitors just from an unpleasant phone call. That is a lot of business. So clearly, answering the phone live and delivering an outstanding experience is paramount. Luckily, you have some options. One is to answer the phone yourself. Assuming you're not helping a customer or away from the phone when it rings, you can pick up and help your callers. Of course, it isn't necessarily ideal for countless reasons, which I'm sure you understand, particularly if that's how you handle your calls today. But it works. It can work. If you have a team of employees, sharing the phone answering duties is also an option. That means that whichever team member is available picks up the phone, and that they need to be equipped to answer the calls, to handle whatever the caller might need, and to route them to where they need to go if they're not able to handle the call themselves. Or if you have the budget, a dedicated in-house receptionist is a great option. Having someone on staff who knows the ins and outs of your business and is eager to pick up the phone is a surefire way to make a good impression on your callers. And of course, the receptionist can help with all sorts of other tasks as needed. So they can answer the door, and they can make copies, and they can do all sorts of things in the office. As long as that phone answering is really their first priority and that they answer it every time it rings, then you are all set. A virtual receptionist like Ruby is another great option. This is a low-cost way to ensure your callers get a great experience, even when you're helping current customers or potential customers, and simply focus on uninterrupted time to work on your business. Ruby is designed to help small businesses delight callers and turn them into loyal customers, just like an in-house receptionist at a fraction of the cost. Let's learn more about how Ruby's virtual receptionist service works. Ruby is a team of professionals in Portland, Oregon who answer business phones live, helping to ensure an exceptional personal experience for your callers. We've been doing this for 15 years, and we're currently the frontline voice for over 8,000 businesses in the U.S. and Canada. We will greet your caller with a personalized greeting, transfer them when and where you want, and follow your call handling instructions that you've helped tailor for your business. Unlike an answering service, which traditionally exists just to take messages after hours and on weekends, Ruby intends to sound like part of your team. Excuse me. We devote a great deal of time to training our receptionists on the art of delivering exceptional customer experiences. In addition to being a friendly, welcoming voice on the phone, Ruby offers a variety of features to help you manage your business, such as local number hosting, letting you call out from your cell phone using your business line if we're hosting it, and some powerful tools in our mobile app. We're going to talk about all of that here soon, a bit more. So, overall, Ruby ensures that your calls are all answered live, provided a consistent and welcoming experience to every caller. And those calls that you can and want to take are transferred through to you live, just like when you have an in-house receptionist. We can answer frequently asked questions to satisfy your callers without interrupting you, and gather intake information from potential new clients, helping your callers feel connected with your business and less likely to call your competitor, while providing you the valuable information you'll want before you call them back. And we can also provide callers with helpful information, such as when you're likely to return, giving them peace of mind and comfort to know what to expect. And how do we do all that? With the power of innovative technology, our receptionists act and sound as if they're in your office. Most of the time, the callers can't even tell the difference. When we believe that you're available, we answer with your custom greeting, we screen the call, although you can skip the screening part if you'd like, and then we call you and we offer you the caller. So, hi, Susie, this is Diana with Ruby. I have Mike on the line. Would you like the call? If she says yes, I say, great, here he comes. And you are immediately then talking to your caller. Very seamless. If you aren't available or don't feel so inclined to take the call, we can take a message and collect whatever information you need. We could connect the caller to voicemail if they would prefer to leave a voicemail, or you would prefer that they leave a voicemail. Or we could even transfer them somewhere else. So when we reach you, you might tell us that Bill would actually be the best person to handle that call, and so we could transfer the call to Bill instead. If the caller leaves a message or voicemail, you'll be immediately notified with an app notification, an email, and or a text message. So you don't need to go searching for that message or wonder if you have messages waiting for you. Some other tidbits about our call handling. We can transfer the call to any phone of your choice, any 10-digit number in the North American numbering plan. So it can be your mobile phone, your home phone, if you still have one of those like I do, a business line, somebody else's cell phone. It can be really anywhere that we can reach you on any 10-digit number. We can gather whatever information you might want from the callers. We can handle different types of calls differently. So potential new clients could be handled differently than existing clients. Or as an example, for those attorneys in the crowd, we can have different call handling for calls from the courts or opposing counsel, for example. We can provide callers with a description of your service or business and answer basic questions. And we can collect intake, as I mentioned earlier. Again, very helpful for attorneys. To your callers, the process is really seamless. They dial your published number, they reach a friendly person who answers with your custom greeting and handles the calls as you specified. All this leads to an excellent customer experience. Ruby even offers a mobile app that allows you to make quick adjustments to your call handling instructions on the fly and from anywhere. All it takes is a few screen taps to adjust your call settings before stepping into a meeting or heading out of the office. I'll share more details about that feature here shortly. If you're working on the go, you have a meeting, or otherwise can't come to the phone, you can set up Ruby to just take a message or send the caller to voicemail without trying to transfer the call to you first. So your caller needn't wait. And rather than just letting your calls go to voicemail when you're not available, your receptionist can answer and let the caller know a bit more about your situation. For example, the receptionist can tell the caller that you're in a meeting until noon and will be returning calls afterwards. Excuse me. Or maybe that you're out of town until Wednesday. You'd be happy to return calls when you return. This additional information removes any uncertainty from your callers, any uncertainty that they might have as to whether you're, at lunch or out of the office for the afternoon or maybe out for the rest of the week. Letting your caller know what to expect and feel taken care of is the first step in building trust and customer loyalty. You can also set up our service so that we know that whenever you're sending calls to us, you are not available. So anytime your calls are forwarded to us, we would automatically answer and take messages without trying your line first. You are really in the driver's seat as to how we handle your calls. You can also choose when you would like Ruby to answer. Some people forward their phones to us and they never look back. We are their full-time receptionist. Some forward and unforward as they see fit. There might be certain times of day or certain days of the week that they can answer themselves, or they might have someone in the office to help them a few hours a day or a few days a week. And if you like the flexibility of answering the calls yourself when you're available and never worrying about calls being missed, You could set it up so that all of your calls ring directly to you first for a couple rings, let's say 2 rings, and then they would forward to us if you don't answer. This is also a really good option if you have an in-house receptionist. It's a good safety net for an in-house receptionist. We ensure that calls are never missed when your receptionist is on break or sick or on vacation or just handling another call. And the reality is that most receptionists, in-house receptionists, don't want to work the same number of hours that we do. We answer 16 hours a day during the week and 12 hours a day on the weekend, and that's not a normal shift for an in-house receptionist. There's also other times that they want to focus on things besides incoming calls that are more important, and you might want to let them do that and have us be their backup. So here's another interesting stat to consider. A phone lead converts 10 to 15 times the rate of a web lead. So having a real live person answering your phone is incredibly important and makes it pretty clear. Ruby can play a key role in attracting new customers and keeping the ones you have. You likely spend a lot of time, energy, and or money to get that phone to ring. All of those marketing efforts. So let's make sure that when callers do call, they get the best possible experience. To build on that thought, did you know that customers form their first impression of your business within 7 seconds of the initial contact, according to a New York University study? And when that impression is made over the phone, tone of voice is incredibly important. Studies show that 87% of callers' opinion is based on the tone of voice alone. Trained in the art of delivering exceptional customer experiences, Ruby receptionists ensure that callers receive a consistent experience, and you have the peace of mind to focus on what matters most in the moment without having to worry about the phones. You always know your current and potential customers are reaching a warm, friendly professional when they call and making a great impression every time. Let's take a closer look into some of the other productivity enhancing features that I mentioned earlier. In addition to answering, transferring, and message taking, our service offers useful features to help streamline your workday. When you get started with Ruby, we'll work with you to set up how you'd like us to typically handle your calls. So what if you need to make a quick change? Our service allows you to alter your instructions for a specific time period. This feature is called status. Think of this as anything you'd say as you tap your receptionist on the shoulder when you're walking out the door or heading into a meeting. For example, if you're going to a conference until 1, you can temporarily change your status to let Ruby know to take messages from all callers. Again, like tapping the receptionist on the shoulder and saying, hey, if Joyce calls, let her know I'll be back. I'll get back to her as soon as I'm out of my meeting at 1 o'clock. You can use this type of feature to indicate exceptions too. If you're out for the day, but you want to make sure that that high-profile client is connected to your cell phone, a quick status update can ensure that happens. One super convenient way to keep us posted about your status is to sync it up with your calendar and your mobile app. So when you pull up your app in the morning, each of your appointments that you have on your calendar and your regular calendar on your phone would appear in the app, and you could tap on each one and indicate if you'd like us to hold your calls during those meetings. So you don't have to remember before each meeting to let us know that you're going into one. You can just set us up that way for the day because it syncs with your calendar in that way. And if you're more of the last minute type, you can use the convenient hold calls button on the app to let us know that you won't be available for a bit. I'll have a picture of that on the next screen. So whether you're hunkering down and getting some important work done, or meeting with a client, or amazingly enjoying a well-deserved break, the freedom to make temporary instructions helps provide you and your callers with the service that you want. So here are some pictures of our app. As I mentioned earlier, it's really a game changer. This is we have it for Apple and for Android, for iPhone and for Android. That button on the left-hand screen, the little hold calls button, is what I was mentioning. So there's a number of different ways you can update your status. You can do it at the top there where it says My Normal Call Handling. If you tap on that, it lets you go to another screen that lets you give us all sorts of information. You can say for the rest of the day, here's what my status is, or for this period of time, or until further notice. There's a number of different ways. You can tell us where you want your calls sent, or if you want calls sent at all. Exceptions either way. So you can say I'm taking calls today at home, but not if this guy calls. Or you can say, I'm watching my son's baseball game today, and if something's urgent, call me on my cell phone. So those types of instructions can all be put in there. But if you're just running into a meeting and you don't want to give us that kind of detail, you can just tap the little hold calls button. And then when you come out of your meeting, it would say clear hold, and you can hit that to unhold your calls. We also have an Apple Watch app that lets you hold your calls that way from your watch. So if you want to do it a little more subtly. So you can choose when Ruby answers, transfers, or takes messages for your calls easily and from anywhere. You can provide your receptionist with call handling and routing instructions, as we just kind of talked about. You can keep track of your call activity and messages. So on that right-hand screen, that's an example of a call detail. lets you call the person back, or you can mark it as unread. You can archive it. If you went out of that call detail screen and just looked more generally at your activity, you would see a list of all of your calls and all of your messages and any voicemail messages that you might have. So again, these can show up in your email and they can be texted to you as well, but this is a super handy way to just see them all together and not mixed in with all of the other stuff in your inbox. And again, you can sync Ruby service with your contacts, with your calendar to optimize how we handle your calls and give your customers an exceptional experience. So that middle screen is what I'm going to cover on the next slide. This is our Choose Your Caller ID feature. So as I mentioned earlier, we can host your existing business number or provide you a local phone number free of charge. So if you have a business number already, we can take over financial responsibility for it, and we can handle that line for you or host that line for you. That does not mean that we have to answer all of your calls. You can still answer some of your calls yourself, forward them to us when you want them to come to us. And if you don't have a local number, we can provide you one. Either way, there's no charge for this service. It's just part of our general service. This eliminates the need for a landline and an expensive phone system and having to deal with a phone company. So it's really quite handy. And when we host your local number, you can use our mobile app to make calls out from your business line. So if you're on our app and you want to make a call, you're returning a call or you're just placing a call, this little screen would come up and it would say, do you want to call out from your cell phone number or do you want to call out from your business line? And if you call out from your business line, that's what shows up on the caller ID. So even though you're out and about, you still get the benefit of keeping your cell phone number private and it looking a little more professional because it came from your business phone. It is really a very cool feature. And coming soon, in fact, you're the first group that we're telling about this, we are going to be able to allow you to text from your local business line as well through our app. That's coming in Q4, so it's not available yet, but by the end of the year, it will be available. So do you ever find yourself getting to the end of the day and find that you didn't have time to make some important calls, or wish you had time to make confirmation calls to shore up your appointments for the following day? Well, Ruby's got your back on that one too. We'd be delighted to make outbound calls on your behalf to relay information, gather information, or confirm appointments. These can be for business purposes or really for any kind of appointments. If you want to have us make an appointment to have your brakes checked, it's something you probably don't want to have not happen. We would be happy to make those calls for you. So we used to say that we would do anything for you. We would make any kind of call you want until one of our customers called up and asked if we would break up with his girlfriend for him. And he thought we would do a nicer job of it because we're so friendly. But unfortunately, we had to say no. And now we are a little more careful that we don't say we will do anything for you, but we say we'll do almost anything for you. Anyway, we can also help with callers who may want to schedule an appointment with you, and we do so via Calendly. It's an online tool that interfaces with most common calendaring systems like Outlook and Google Calendar and those types of things. And it allows us to place things on your calendar in spots that you've designated as available without giving us too much access. So we can't see what else is on your calendar, but we can just put these things on your calendar as appropriate. Are you tired of answering the same question over and over and being interrupted to do so? Again, leave it to us. We can answer inquiries like your company's address, phone number, fax number, website, hours of operation, all those kinds of basic things. And we can also field questions that are more specific to your business. So do you offer free consultations? Do you have a stated hourly rate? Those types of questions that people expect a receptionist to be able to answer or hope that a receptionist would be able to answer. When we have enough information to answer those kinds of questions, it helps us really build rapport with your callers and helps your callers form a more positive impression of your business. They were so helpful is something that we just love to hear as a caller is hanging up. Ruby can also conduct a short intake, collecting information from clients so that you don't have to. I touched on this briefly earlier. This might mean gathering some specific information from the caller, more than just their name and number and what it's regarding, but maybe how they heard about your firm or their email address or that type of information. Gathering information up front enables you to be able to make informed follow-up calls, enter that information into your client database, or simply delegate a chunk of your daily workload to us. And as we've noted moments ago, Ruby can make those outbound calls for you as well. So conducting a short intake, I can't understate this, or I can't overstate this enough, that when we conduct an intake, what we find is that the person we're connecting with has a much greater chance of feeling pleased and heard and cared for and listened to, and they are much less likely to then hang up and call one of your competitors. So in addition to just providing you with some useful information from the intake form, we find that it really often helps secure a new customer for you. So let's circle back to the original question. What is Ruby Receptionist? Basically, it's an opportunity to provide an outstanding experience for all of your callers, helping build trust with them and peace of mind for you, and helping you grow your business. Our quality service is customized to fit your unique needs, and it gives you the freedom to work the way you want, in the office, on the road, wherever, without sacrificing your caller's experience. Ruby has been giving small businesses a competitive edge by providing exceptional experiences since 2003, as I mentioned earlier. If you're interested in experiencing the difference a live virtual reception service can make for your business, we are here for you. We're the frontline voice for over 8,000 small businesses in the US and Canada, and we are passionate about helping small businesses thrive and grow. We're located here in Portland, Oregon, and all of our receptionists come to work in our offices each day. None of our receptionists work from home. So there's no baby crying or dog barking in the background. They're all full-time professional receptionists who work in our offices here in Portland. Our mission is to preserve and to perpetuate meaningful connections in an increasingly technology-focused virtual world. Our service is designed to keep costs economical while keeping those human interactions alive. Each of our receptionists go through thorough and ongoing customer service training to ensure you and your callers get the best experience possible. We answer 100% of the calls live, including evening and weekend hours, ensuring your English and Spanish-speaking callers always reach a friendly, professional customer experience expert excited in making a difference in their day. Our charming receptionists answer with your custom greeting, transfer calls live, take messages, address common questions, make follow-up calls, and much more. And don't forget about our feature-rich mobile app to help keep you informed and in control. We also have a 21-day money-back guarantee, so you're welcome to give Ruby a try risk-free. Come over and kick the tires, as they say. Anyway, this chart that we are now showing on the screen is a little comparison chart to help you evaluate the different ways that you could handle your calls. So that is a column of all of the things that Ruby can do for you, comparing to having voicemail answer your calls, having an in-house receptionist, or having an answering service. So hopefully that will be helpful, and you will be we'll be emailing this presentation out so you can have this slide to look over at your leisure. So questions. Let's see. Do we have any questions? We do. Okay. So I don't have an office phone. I just have my cell phone. Can I use that for everything? I use that for everything. Can I still use Ruby? Yes, absolutely. It's a very common scenario. In fact, that's our little mantra here, that all you need to run your business is Ruby and a cell phone. So you can just take your cell phone number and forward it to us after a certain number of rings. So if you want to answer it yourself, you answer within those first couple of rings. And if not, then it will forward to us and we can answer those calls for you. If you do have just one number, we cannot transfer calls back to you live because it would just go in a circle and come back to us. But if you have another number, or if you'd like us to provide you with another number, which we're happy to do, we can still transfer calls back to you live. Again, we are happy to host a local number for you. So either your existing local number or a new one. And we do recommend, it's kind of best practice to have a separate business number than your cell phone number for a number of reasons. In fact, I had lunch with a friend the other day who's been running her business for 10 years now, and she's always just used her personal cell phone. And she realized that at some point here in the future, she's going to want to sell her business. And so she needs to separate that from her personal cell phone, and she finally got a business line. But there's a number of reasons why it's a good thing to have a business line, and it really depends on your line of work too, but even more important in some than in others. So let's see. Another question. What are the fees? So the fees are, we have packages of receptionist minutes, and our smallest plan is $299 a month. It includes 100 receptionist minutes, which is typically enough for about 2 to 4 calls per business day. It depends on how you have us handle your calls. Some calls can be very short. We bill in 30-second increments. So if a call is, if someone just asks us to take a really quick message, or someone calls and asks what your fax number is, and we just give them that information, those calls are probably going to bill out at 30 seconds. But a longer call, where we're transferring the call through to you, or we're having an interesting conversation with the caller, or if we're doing an intake and we're asking them a whole bunch of questions. Obviously, those calls are on the longer end. On average, across all of our 8,000 plus customers here at Ruby right now, calls are averaging about a minute and a half. So that helps give you some sense of that. So that smallest plan is $299. If you go over that, additional minutes are simply prorated, so they're exactly the same rate over the plan as they are in the plan. Then we do have two larger plans, $559 a month for 200 minutes and $1,269 for 500 minutes. And often people say that they don't have any idea how many minutes they're going to need. So typically we just get them started on our smallest plan. And then after about a week, someone in our customer happiness department would give you a call and let you know how many minutes you've used and if you're on track for that, to have that plan be appropriate for you, or if you need to switch to a bigger plan. You can always switch up and down between plans whenever you like as well. So if you get your bill one month and you used a ton more minutes than normal, and you think, gosh, I wish I'd switched to the bigger plan, then you can just call us up or email us and let us know. We will retroactively adjust that bill from the previous month to re-rate it to reflect what would have been a more appropriate plan. Then you can decide if you want to stay on that bigger plan or go back to the smaller plan. That month may have been an anomaly, or you may just feel that business has picked up and now you need more minutes. Let's see, more questions. Can messages be sent to my assistant if I'm not available? Yes, absolutely. So messages in general can be sent wherever you like. They can be sent to you or to multiple people or to someone else. But you can absolutely let us know that, for example, a potential new client calls and you're not available. You may want those calls sent to your assistant so that someone is handling them right away. So looks like those are all the questions. If you guys have more questions, would still love to hear from you. We are at 866-611-RUBY or 866-611-7829. You can email us at hello@callruby.com, or our website is callruby.com. And I just really want to thank you for watching. I hope this presentation was useful and helpful. And if you have questions, we would love to hear from you. And I think that's it. Thank you so much for your time. Talk to you later.